Well, good evening, everybody. This is Chris McDonald. Welcome to the Chris McDonald Show. Happy to have everybody with us today. Today, we have the privilege of visiting Southern Realty, Remax Southern Realty here in Rockingham. We have our good friends. We have Jamie Moss Godfrey, we have Courtney Vance, and we have Brooke Robinson here with us today. And I'm going to talk to them about various subjects in regards to real estate here in Richmond County, figure out why that they decided to get into this really a dog eat dog world and dog eat dog industry, and just kind of find out about where they've been, where they're going, and maybe talk about some development going on here in town. And of course, we're always going to ask the question of anyone who deals with real estate or anything here in town about the Food King parking, about the Food King. So don't worry, that one is coming. So anyway, Jamie, happy to have y'all with us today, girls. Thank you. Happy to be here with you. So Jamie, gosh, you and I have known each other since 8th grade in 1980. Gosh, that seems like 6,000 years ago. But what led you after you graduated from Richmond in 85? What led you to go into real estate?
85, let me think. So, actually, I had a boyfriend at the time, and his father owned a real estate company. And I was floundering between what I was going to do with the rest of my life. And real estate sounded like it would be really fun because everybody thinks real estate is fun and glamorous. And it was, and it has been, and it can be, but there's also a lot of other things that come with it that I didn't know when I was 18.
Right.
So, yeah, that's how it started. Went to real estate school when I was 18. My mom hopped in the car and rode with me to Charlotte every day just to make sure that I made it. Anyway, we both got licensed same time.
That's pretty cool. Courtney, how'd you do it?
So mine, I would say I was looking at houses with Jamie. I started out as a waitress at the Holiday Restaurant. That was my first job. Decided I was, wanted to do something different. And I met Jamie. I started out as her assistant for 2 years. So, and then she was like, why don't you go to real estate school? And, I loved watching her do what she did. I knew, like, I could just see her passion for it. I was like, hey, I want to do that. I want to be like her. So that, I think, encouraged me or pushed me to want to do the same thing. And I've been in it for 7 years and I love it. Wouldn't do anything different.
Wow. Brooke, how about you, dear?
So Jamie kind of took me in. I started answering the phones for her. And then I started learning more about real estate. And then she suggested that I go to real estate school.
Right.
So I did. And I just love it here.
You would recommend it as of course, you recommend it to these two young ladies, but you would recommend it as a good career to think about possibly, because coming up soon, we've got graduates coming out and, they can start making their plans now, certainly.
Oh, absolutely. My dad was self-employed, and growing up my whole life, he always said, make sure you're the boss of yourself.
Right.
That was just implanted in my brain as a child. So, the fact that you are the maker of your destiny,
right.
and it may thrive or it may not, but you are the person that holds the key to your life and how successful you are.
Right.
You can do very well, or you can not do very well, or you can. There's a lot of agents that just aren't out here to kill it, to be the number one agent of everything, and they do very well, very consistently, very well, and those are the agents I think that are important to the real estate field. They're the ones that can maintain the long term without the pressures of always fighting to be the best, to be the number one, the best.
Where does that drive come from?
I think it's funny because Mike Griffin and I were talking about this, and it leads a little bit into ownership type roles and leadership type roles too, but we think that some of it has to be just DNA.
Yeah.
Honestly, a lot of it just has to be DNA, where the people that are just born with it in them, it never feels like work.
Right. Right.
It's just the natural given.
Right.
And and for a lot of people, I know, I always said this about Claude Smith, and his recreation was work.
Yeah.
That he loved it. And he would much rather be doing that than anything else because it was fun to him. And I've always said, whatever you love and whatever you're good at, and if it's fun for you, then it's never a job.
Right. Yeah, I've always, Keith Jackson, the famous broadcaster, who was a, hero of mine, once said, you marry your best friend and you make your hobby your job. And that's very important. Brooke, tell me about, how your drive came into this, how you're focused on this. Tell me a little bit about yourself and where you're from and the.
So I'm from Rockingham, and really, I guess just working here and learning more and more about real estate, just made me more passionate about it.
And also too, I mean, you've got this little ball of fire here in the
Yeah.
middle, and she just, she walks in and the lights flash. I mean, she's a
Yeah.
ball of energy, and that you can draw off of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Courtney, do you find the same
Oh,
deal?
definitely. Yeah, I think her energy, it motivates all of us. She's always, taking that extra step to learn more stuff, to bring it back to us, to make us more knowledgeable.
Right.
So I think she pushes all of us to be the best version of ourselves.
Right. Now you've got other ones that are not here today. You have Ashley Hughes and you have Chelsea Johnson. Yeah, I'm sorry. With us as well. That they're usually here with us, but they're out trying to sell the world. So we don't want to definitely want to keep that. Where do you see real estate now as opposed to where real estate was when you started?
Oh, gosh. But it's incredibly different.
Yeah.
When I started in 1985, really the 1986, started real estate school in 85. I didn't get licensed until I was in 86. Interest rates were 14%. And I was still living at home with my mom and had no debt. And I really didn't know a lot about a bad economy. So I always say ignorance is bliss, but I was selling so many homes that I think other agents were afraid to involve themselves in because they knew the economy was bad. But technology wise, it is very different. I remember, the first company I worked for, which was Thomas Realty, we did not have fax machines. We didn't have any of forget electronic signing documents, but every afternoon at 4 o'clock, we would have UPS, FedEx, and any other courier stop by, and we had to ship that stuff out to them to get those contracts signed and back, hopefully before the buyers change their mind. So that is huge. And through the years, I've been through, probably 4 economic depressions. The last one we had, which they were saying this currently is, but it is not. The last one we had was a depression.
Yeah, 2008 was a rough time for you.
It was terrible. It was terrible. But we also say that people that do well continue to do well even in a recession. So there's this 90-10 rule, and it's 90% of the or 10% of the agents do 90% of the business. So even in a bad market, they're going to excel and do well. And when they were speaking about the bad economy or the things that were going to happen, that with the rates going up, and it did slow it down. Granted, it did slow it down, but we're in a housing shortage. But I absolutely told my girls, you got to put back. It's feast or famine sometimes in this business. And the ones that I've seen a lot of really, really great agents in my career get out of the business because the temperature changed in the market.
They want to be in during the good times, and once the let a little winter come in, if you will,
Right.
that they're afraid to build the fire and hold on.
Absolutely.
They just rather go ahead
And I'm guilty too. Like when it's good, I'm out there.
Yeah.
I'm spending. I'm doing like the rest of them, thinking it's going to be this way forever. Even after it just kind of slapping me in my hand 3 or 4 times. But the change in the market is we still have old school traditions. We still have old school things that we do. We still do mailings, and we still do face to face, and we still do cold calling and all that stuff. But I think with COVID, we have a lot of agents now that don't want to be in brick and mortar. Their brick and mortar is their home. Personally, I think that, and I did a survey not too long ago, And it was right when COVID was like, we were just getting out and people were starting to go to work. And I'm like, would you prefer to work from your home, or do you prefer to have brick and mortar and get dressed and go to work? And everyone said that they perform better in an office environment.
Yeah.
So, and that's why we have brick and mortar, is that we want people to be able to get dressed, to get ready for their workday, to have a place to go to. Because it's difficult to get that motivation, I feel. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it's very hard to get that motivation from your home.
Right.
So those type things have changed.
Yeah, it's that the COVID was actually going to be my next question, about how did that, how did you do that year that COVID came along in 2020?
Well, COVID was actually a great year for real estate.
Yeah.
I mean, it
was
was
crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it is absolutely crazy. And a couple of years past, because the interest rates dropped to a historical low, we're talking 2.3%. We had people that were our 450, $500,000 homes. The average two-family income in Richmond County could afford it.
Right.
And that's the truth.
Okay.
And now we have these listings that are just sitting there because the interest rates pretty much dictate
Mhm.
what people can afford. So, but it was actually a really, really great year. We started meeting people at the front door instead of like opening the door and let people come in and those kind of things. And
Right.
fortunately, not any of us got COVID until after it was time for us to go back to work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were all still here.
But the face-to-face of it, I mean, it's, we're here doing a podcast, and this is, but the face-to-face of it, my father, who Jack, God bless him, he was a great salesman. I mean, really could sell anything. And, and he always said, when you go see that man, you're able to look him in the eye, you give him that business card, you leave that card with him and whatnot, and he has an idea of what you are and can tell a lot more about character, face to face and whatnot. It seems to me, especially in an industry like real estate, that a little bit of that got lost and you kind of lost some connection.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I tell you, I think we lost a lot of connection with electronic forms. And I
Yeah.
serve on the forms committee for the state of North Carolina with the Realtor Association. And we talk about it every month. We meet once a month about how we have lost so much of the personalization now that we can just literally type it up and shoot it to them electronically. It's hard to build the relationships that we could build prior. Definitely.
And it seemed like too, when you were, going to a literal signing, sorry for my Kardashian,
Right.
but going to a literal signing
Mhm.
and, having somebody come in there and sign for 30, 45 minutes, however long it took, and their excitement builds. It's like, okay, all right, they walk in, it's like, okay, I'm getting, I'm still nervous and everything, but I'm gonna have my own house. I'm gonna have my, this is this is mine now. You don't get that with the electronics.
And we still, I preach to my agents about, especially first-time home buyers, how important it is to get them in here.
You
Get
gotta love them.
face-to-face
You
with
gotta
them.
love them.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And those are our babies.
Yeah.
But they're also the ones that end up in our career doing 3 and 4 transactions with us.
Right.
So we have to cater to those folks. They're scared, they're afraid or embarrassed to ask questions. So, I mean, we have to start the dialect and let them know, and it's very hard to do that through a computer screen.
Right.
So yeah, technology has definitely made our career a little cooler than it has been.
I see on TV, and matter of fact, there's a big billboard now down in Hoffman. Folks said, I'll buy your house, sight unseen, who I'm talking about.
Mhm.
But so it's interesting, to be able to do that. Can you explain kind of what the procedure is with that, or why someone would go to that or whatnot? Because I know they're like, we'll ask that.
So we actually get from the company that you're talking about, Mark Spain.
Yeah.
We actually get some of the properties that he acquires. So
Right.
he doesn't resell them, and typically they are sight unseen. But I feel like he's dealing with people that aren't very knowledgeable about real estate.
Right,
Kind of a fire sale. He goes in and the price he offers is usually well below what they could get if they just put it on the market
Right.
traditionally.
right,
Not very educated on the real estate practices and so on and so forth. And, but I don't, I haven't personally in 38 years I've been doing this, and Mark Spain's been around maybe 5 or 6.
right,
I haven't personally ever met anyone that's made a deal with Mark, with Mark Spain, but I
Right.
do know that it exists and it's out there.
right,
And like I said, I think Courtney actually gets some of the assets that he acquires
right,
through these kind of fire sale type situations.
right. It's like a lot of with anything, again, it became a necessity out of COVID, and thus, and it's like, hey, people just want to unload their houses, they just want to do this. And I just moved back from Michigan, and up there, I mean, there are $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 houses that they can't give away. I mean, people can't, people, they can't send, but down here, oh my gosh, people are willing to come and cut the check just like that.
I think, I watch the statistics often, and I know that North Carolina is one of the leading states in where people want to move.
Right,
People want to retire, but we also have been in a housing shortage
right,
since 2014. We were told by our chief economic advisor with the Realtor Association, his name is Lawrence Young, after we popped out of that depression that I was talking about. We were in DC at legislative meetings, and he told all of this whole crowd of people in DC to find your builders and have them start turning dirt. And I can remember a wave across the audience, and everybody started giggling
yeah,
because the builders were putting renters in their homes because they couldn't sell them. And he said, we are in trouble. We're in a housing shortage.
Yeah.
And we currently are still in a housing shortage, and it is going to continue for years.
yeah.
So
But what causes that? Why is there such a, because interest rates got so low, everybody bought stuff and now there's nothing, or is it just?
No, not really. So these economic forecasters, or like Lawrence, he watches population. He knew how many people were going to be graduating, needing, their first homes. He knew that he knows now that people live longer.
Right.
That's why we have so many quote snowflakes living with their parents, is that, we have these people who can't, for one, that couldn't afford to get out. The average home buyer now is 34 to 35 years old because they're in debt with college loans.
Right.
So there's just literally not enough roofs to accommodate the number of people demographically and population that need housing. And I think everywhere you go now, you see apartment buildings being just thrown up everywhere. I went through Moore County the other day, and
It's insane.
Everywhere. And that is because we're dealing with those people who can't afford, because of debt to income, to buy until they're 35, and they need housing. So just one example.
Right. Courtney, now you two are rather young compared to me and her. And so, as you come into this, were there any fears that you had about getting into the real estate business?
I think, well, when I first started, I was in my early 20s, so I really didn't have a lot of fears. I didn't think ahead.
You're 8 foot tall and bulletproof.
Yeah, so I just kind of went in and was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, for the rest of my life. I'm gonna put my all into it. Of course, I've faced some fears of, consistency of, income consistency, because some months you may sell 5 houses and may go 3 months without it. So, I had to learn budgeting. So definitely I've learned my lesson the hard way a couple of times, but I think it's made me better about knowing, like, hey, let's put this money back instead of going out and buying whatever. But really no fears, just the whole consistency with income.
It's not all about popping champagne corks.
No.
Courtney, sorry, Brooke, what about you? If fears with, you have a lot of fears, or any fears at all about this industry?
Not really, only because I handle most of Jamie's stuff
Right,
and
right,
I manage the rentals, and so I don't have to worry as much as
right,
the other agents.
right. Now, let's see. Now, Jamie, I know that, you're with Remax, and how did you come with Remax? Why Remax and not Prudential or one of these other
Right.
companies?
So, we were actually the second franchise in Richmond County, at the time that I bought the franchise. So I was familiar because there were other franchises that I've dealt with through my years. So I started in '86. I worked with Realty World, which was a franchise. And then at a short period of time, we had a Century 21, and we had a Better Homes and Gardens, and we had ERA. Forgot about that. The McKinney's had
Oh,
that.
yeah, right,
So, and by the time that I went on my own, all of those companies had dissolved themselves, except for Realty World. So I think when I decided to do this, I went online and I just did some research, and it was, just doing these polls of the number one branded real estate company. And I had all of these to choose from. Like, I had a potpourri box of, because there was only one here, I could choose from any. And after the research was done, there was no doubt in my mind that Remax was definitely the path that I needed to go with franchising, because they are so big.
right.
And they're well known. Everybody knows the hot air balloon.
I was going to
so.
say, we got to get the hot air balloon to land out here in your area.
They come. We have them about
Right.
every couple of years.
Right.
We'll bring them in and let them do tethered rides and such.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Changing subject just a little bit. Let's talk about Richmond County. Richmond County, in regards to, and mostly commercial stuff, there's a big building boom going on around here. I know the Darlings, they've rebuilt 3 houses, here in the area, one on Randolph, and, one, the old teachers, cottage that they have up here just on the other side of the Episcopal Church. And matter of fact, they're working on another one now, and they did one in Hamlet, the airplane house, I think is what they call it. But, people coming in here and taking these old houses, and matter of fact, John Hutchinson, for those of you who are following along, had told me about the family that's up here working on this house that's just at the corner of Steel and Fayetteville Road. That's right up here where they have, they're from New York, they came down.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and they're all built, and they're redoing the whole inside and all to really refurbish the historical district. How important is it for folks to come in and do stuff like that? And where do you see, a year from now, 2, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, the whole downtown Rockingham? Where would you like to see all of that? And all 3 of you feel free to answer any of that.
Our downtown has just done cartwheels. So and I can't say that it is because of me.
Right.
But because Discovery Place pretty much started it. But they were here for many years. And of course, they were here with the law offices and the offices that have been here forever that had a reason to be here, because they were, of course, close to the courthouse. But when we kind of got not kicked out, but they were tearing down our building at the shopping center to build Firehouse Subs.
Yeah.
That's where we were. So we had to do something. And one of my goals always as a real estate business owner was to have, I'm like, why am I talking about ownership and I don't own my own building? So that was always a goal. And, it didn't take long for me to ride downtown and see that it was a ghost town. I mean, literally tumbleweeds. There were no cars, no activity. We're only talking, how long have we been here? 5 years? 5, 6 years?
Yeah, I think 6.
We've been here 6 years.
Yeah.
And we were the second company to come, other than Discovery Place, which is across the street. And we just prettied up. We had such a good time getting this building into shape. It used to be AC Godwin's building. I think everybody remembers those ACs.
Yep.
And then it was not 2 months later, the boutique came next door, and the bakery, and then of course Hudson Brothers had always been here. These landmark businesses had always been here, but there wasn't a lot to draw people here. But now I mean, you literally have to look before you cross the street now, where
Mhm.
before
Yep.
you could go like do hopscotch in the
Right.
middle of the road, like
Right.
there were no vehicles. So the way that it has bloomed has been, it is just astounding to me. And we were here maybe 6 months, I'm thinking, and they announced the college was
Right.
coming.
Right.
And I never thought I'd see the day of that. I'm like, that's just talk and how long it takes. But that happened really, really quickly. And there's just such great pride of ownership
Mhm.
in downtown, such great pride. And people enjoy it. There's 2 boutiques now, there's places to eat.
Mhm.
I
New
get-
place coming next door from where Patton's was.
Oh, yeah, we're excited about
Yeah.
that. Not a building stays empty for very
Right.
long. We get calls often about people that just want to start a new business. Seems to be where they want to start.
Right.
We had people that were located in the shopping center that have left and moved their business downtown.
Right.
So
Because it's funny, because, my mother, she and I were talking about, Rockingham back in the 40s and 50s and whatnot. And, about the big deal with, we're going to go to Rockingham and we're going to go downtown. Belk's used to be here and all of these other,
Oh,
used
yeah.
to be down here. And then it all went out to the shopping center, and now it all wants to get back in here. I told John, and speaking to other folks too, when I came back about a year ago, I went over to Fuquay Arena to look at a car, and I was amazed at like their downtown area they have over there. I mean, they've got the little bistros and whatnot. They've got the gas the gas tikis outside and everything to keep heaters to keep everybody warm and all that. And I would love to see that going here in town and everything. One of the things I would love to see, I'd love to have like a sports bar downtown, but to the extent of like where we have where we like to do a radio broadcast from there, like, hey, there goes Jamie Moss down the street, going over to
Right.
the Hudson Brother or whatever, being able to do stuff like that. There's all these buildings. I mean, these things are pieces of art, man. I mean,
Did
they really
Don
are.
talk to you about the wine? And what is it, the new place that we're getting?
She's gonna have coffee, I think
Right.
like coffee in the
Like a
morning
wine
and do
bar.
wines at
Oh wow,
night.
no, I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
That's
Outstanding.
where the old bank building used to be.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Outstanding.
that's coming. Definitely, she's been working really hard on that.
Well, I'm glad to know that it's in good, it is in good place and all. And I would, yes, I want to see Rockingham prosper. I want to see it get back to where it was. And I think with you guys pushing it and you behind it and whatnot. All right, Food King, what's happening? I know, okay, go ahead and say, I can't tell you, Chris, yet,
Well,
but it's coming.
I don't know, but
Yeah.
I can tell you this. I sold that building to the city of Rockingham. So they own it. And we had several really great prospects that wanted it, but they wanted it really quick.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you in your livelihood ever rolled a grocery cart through that store
Yep,
and felt like you were gonna go straight to the basement.
yep,
Well, it's amazing that we did not.
right.
So they have spent a lot of time and a lot of money getting that floor system secure
Right.
in there. But the plan last I talked to Monty was and it's the whole building can be rented, but they
Right.
think that it may be easier to divide it into 3 different.
Yeah,
sections.
that's what John has been saying.
Yeah.
And it's just the running joke about, okay, what about Food King? What about Food King?
Yeah.
Because everybody always wants to know what's going on with Food King.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, he may know more if they've gotten that floor finished.
Right,
If the
right.
floor is actually complete and it's at that point that it's ready to be rented, but I think when it gets to that point, it will not be long. Somebody's gonna snatch it up.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. I hate that we didn't get everybody in, but that's okay. But we certainly do appreciate it, and we will stay in contact with you so we can see what things are looking like, how we would like for them to come out, and hopefully Richmond County and Rockingham will be be a shining diamond.
Thank you. We're
Yeah,
honored.
thank
that
you.
have
Thank you very much. Folks, that's it for this week. We will look forward to seeing you next week. I'm going to have a little surprise for you next week. I got one of my coaching buddies from Connecticut going to be joining us, Mr. Tom Moore. So be sure to tune in. You have a great night. Take care.
Well, that was fun.
That was fun.
Hang on, let me make sure I've stopped it. Stop recording.